What's up, everybody, and welcome to another summer edition of Morning Cuppa Hockey. Morning Cuppa Hockey is a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today, and we are also presented by Parasso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care. Made in Italy since 1948, Parasso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations, so get 15% off at Parasso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15 in all caps. Hockey15. That's Colby Cohen. I'm Jonny Lazarus. We have a very special guest today, David Carle, the head coach of the Denver Pioneers, three-time national champion, the best head coach in all of college hockey right now. I think it's pretty hard to debate. So very excited to have him on, Colby. I don't know if you want to say something before we do bring him on, but I know you're rocking a new hat for the first time ever in history. So
you guys know I don't really have a big I have my 3 or 4 hats that I always wear on this show, but I have a great relationship, not just with David Carle, but with the school. Their equipment manager, Nick Melendrum, is one of my favorite guys. He does World Juniors. He gets invited to do a lot of USA Hockey stuff. So I do have like a good hoodie, a good workout shirt. And look, I DU, man, it's a great brand. It really is. And what these guys have done, going back to George Gwozdecki, for me, I think I've said this on our show before, when it came down to like my choosing college, I had a final 3 and then it became really a final 2, and it was between BU and Denver. And, a lot of family ties in Colorado. My brothers both went to college there, my cousins. I mean, it's just, so it was a really, really big decision. And I remember just the love that I felt from George Gwozdecki back in the day. And then, working with Jim Montgomery when he was the head coach and DC was the assistant. And then, the relationship has really just kind of continued on. And him and I met, we were young guys at the festival camps way back when, through USA Hockey. So it'll be great to have him on the show today. I really, he's someone we'd love to have live during the season, but
busy guy,
2 hours, he's got a lot of young children trying to get out the door every day for school. He's very, very involved as a parent. He's not one of these guys that, his kids don't know what he looks like some of our coaches' friends and whatnot. So it's great to finally get him on, and it's great to talk to him. And I have no idea where this conversation will go, Jonny, but I'll tell you what, I mean, there's 1,000,001 things to bring up and talk to him about, because he's got this sort of worldly view on hockey, and we'll get into it with him today. But as much as he wants to win and make Denver the best place to play college hockey, period, he also has this larger CEO type of view, in my opinion, where he wants to leave the game in a better place than he found it. He wants to be a solution to moving forward, not just with college hockey, but just the entire hockey ecosystem. So looking forward to having him on, Jonny, and I'll let you bring him in here now.
Yeah, I know he's listening. I was going to say he's more likely to become the NHL commissioner or next commissioner over an NHL head coach, I think. But we'll let him answer that himself. So let's bring in David Carle. Very excited to have him on for the first time. Surprises actually is your first time. But I know we've been talking about having you on for a long time. So it's fun to finally make this happen. Thanks for making the time today, Coach. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for working your guys' schedule to make it happen. Like Colby shared, it's hard for me during the season, certainly with the early mornings with the 2-hour time change. But obviously see a lot of what you guys do, and think what you guys do is great for the game, and happy to come on.
You're cutting away from Cohen beach time, and you got him wearing a Denver hat. That's high praise. So he wouldn't do that for everybody.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. We'll take it. And I've got a new one for him and Butchie as well, based on their call of our game up in Loveland. So that's starting to grow some legs, and we'll make sure Colby's got that one for the next time we're on.
Yeah, I love it. And obviously our show, we do a lot of NHL stuff. We do a lot of college stuff. And Jonny and I were kind of talking about how we wanted to approach the NHL conversation with you, because it has become a loud conversation. And, my angle on it and my real curiosity on it, DC, is not so much like why you've chose to stay put and why you've made the decisions you've made, because those are very personal decisions. And you've also very publicly spoken about that before. But it's really, how do you deal with being a guy who, every time there's an opening, you are the it guy. And how does the school deal with it? How do you deal with your players on it? How do you deal with your wife and your family on that? Because your name is like they're already got your stall ready in 6 different markets that they've already pronounced, the fan bases have already pronounced you the head coach.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a good problem to have because it means we're doing good things here at Denver. So I think that's first and foremost. And I love getting to know people in hockey, and I think that's been a big positive from all of this as well. I've really only worked at one place. I spent a year and a half in Green Bay in the USHL, and then our staff hasn't really changed here since 2018. We've had a couple different people come in, Ryan Masson, 22, but Dallas and Tavis have been here since 2018. So it's really good and healthy, I think, for me and our program to talk to other people and have to share ideas and learn different things and all of that. So the noise is the noise. It's again, I think it's a good thing that it's there because it means that we're doing some good things here at Denver, and I think it comes with the territory. When you win to the level that we have over the last 5 to 8 years. So, and also my predecessor took that path as well. So I think there's maybe a little bit of an assumption that that's just going to be the path that I take, whether on the immediacy or the long term. And for me, it's just trying to stay, 2 feet where you are, learn about different opportunities that come your way. But very happy, certainly. I've stated that many times with what we have going on here at Denver, what we're trying to build. It's more than just a hockey team or season to season. Like we're trying to really build something for the long term. We've made a lot of progress over the last 4 to 5 years, but we're not done yet. That's for sure.
I just want to follow up one point of that question and answer is, do you actually address it and talk with your players, DC? Do you sit with the athletic director at Denver? Do you have those conversations? Because when I'm around you guys peripherally, and obviously I've gotten to know, your athletic directors, Josh does such an awesome job, and the support with your, the people around you. And so I know how much they support you and how much they feel supported, you support them. But do you actually sit down and talk to your captains or your leaders? How do you address it with them?
I mean, I think it varies based on the situation. I've only brought it to our team one time, and that would have been the summer of 25. We discussed it a little bit as a group. But nothing in 22, the summer of 22 or 23, nothing this summer. They've all had it addressed to them at this stage in their recruiting conversations. And so to have this redundant, talk, I just don't think there's everything I've said to them, I say publicly. And I think that's the beauty of kind of just laying all your cards on the table. Anything I've said to our players, I say to a recruit, I'll say to you. I've said to NHL GMs. So everything's being said in the same way, in the same manner. And there's really no ambiguity or reading between the lines of what's going on. So, I felt like this year there really wasn't a need with the rumors that were going around to address it with the team. And, with administration, I think it's always good to, keep them in the loop. I don't like surprises. So they certainly don't like surprises, and definitely try to just keep them abreast as to what's going on if they need to know things.
How about dealing with Drew Shore? He told me he was annoying the crap out of you. He's a good friend of the show. We love him here.
Yeah, he'll be rattled I'm on the show and not back on his podcast for the umpteenth time. But you guys know Drew. He's got 8 different things going on, and anytime he talks to you, it's the most important thing he needs in the moment. So, he can. He can. The annoying word can come up with him for sure. You guys know that.
Oh yeah. But let me follow up with that quickly because, I did, obviously when we have someone on, I always reach out to like, people I know in common and whatnot. And Jack Devine was a guy I spoke to a little bit. And he said one of the things with you, and I think something you always do say publicly is your family, right? And Jack said your oldest son, I guess, is always around the team. And that's something that the team seems to love too. So bringing your family to the rink and having the guys around your guys, what is that like, I guess, just having the family feel at Denver for not only your players, but for your immediate family as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. Certainly saw Monty do that with his boys and bring them around the team a lot. Coming to games, Williams 5 now. Callum turns 3 here in October, and so he's probably going to start being able to come to more and more games this year. And so, yeah, to see their love of the game grow and be able to, be in the locker room and around the guys, I think, yeah, it's a great experience for them to have that level of access. And when we recruit kids, we talk a lot about our families. I mean, Tavis had 2 daughters that went to school here. Dallas has two daughters that are college age. Obviously, I went to school here. My brother went to school here. We live 5-6 blocks from campus, so we're not a staff that say recruits to Denver and just comes in and runs practice every day. It's really ingrained in the fabric of what we do, and I think that's important for if you're a mom or a dad and you're sitting there. What is my 17, 18-year-old going to do? Where do I feel comfortable sending him? We're very invested within this community. All of us with our kids and our families. Ryan Massa, as a young boy, and another on the way, and so his boys around a lot. Matt Shaw's got a couple young kids that are around a lot. So I think it's great for our players to see how invested we are, in the program and in the community by bringing our families around.
Yeah, and I've certainly witnessed that firsthand, and it is one of my favorite parts when you get to see that around a college program. It is just like a different level of access. But one of the things that you just brought up was recruiting. Obviously, it's a hot button issue right now. DC people are talking about the recruiting calendar, and with the way that the landscape has changed, I feel like we as a sport at the NCAA level need to continue to evolve. And there is a couple of topics that I wanted to kind of pick your brain on. We're not going to get in the NCAA tournament thing today because you've spoken about that. You've written about it. You've spoken about it. We've talked about it. It's well out there. It's flushed out. You've put it on a cocktail napkin on a platter for these people. And for now, they don't want to eat the meal. But from the recruiting standpoint, how would you change that? Because one of my favorite things about talking to you, and we talk a lot during the tournament, is you don't just tell me the problem, you come with a solution. And so how do we kind of adapt and evolve to the new landscape? And what would that do for the recruiting calendar and the way you guys kind of go about your business?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been, we'd like to talk about the changing NCAA landscape. I tell people there's not a sport that's dealt with more change than hockey, because not only did we have to deal with Alston and revenue sharing and the house settlements and roster limits like every other sport did, and transfer portal, in the last 5-6 years, but we also had the CHL rule change, eligibility. And that was a really big, shift from the 1970s when that went away, and now is coming back. And I think it's a great development for the players and for the schools. Anytime players have options, I think that's usually the best thing, always the best thing. And you're certainly seeing the influx of that in players' decision-making models. What I guess that triggered our staff and many in our league and around the country to start thinking about is, is the recruiting calendar, is it up to date of where it needs to be? We adjusted it back in 2019. As you remember, you used to be able to offer, 8th and 9th graders and get them verbally committed for 4 or 5 years out. And it was just a really crazy thing, I think, in everyone's opinion. So we got it moved back to January 1 of their grade 10 year was the first contact. The first offer date is now August 1 going into grade 11. And much of that was put into place because in the CHL, you get drafted your grade 10 spring, and schools wanted the opportunity to be able to talk to kids in the OHL and the Quebec League. oddly enough, the schools in the West, we always had to deal with the Western League drafts in grade 9. They do a Bantam draft. And so those teams would draft their players. They'd have a 6-month runway to talk to them, sign them, make them ineligible for college before we would even have the chance to speak to them. So I always felt like the schools in the West kind of got the short end of that deal, based on making the decision around the CHL draft dates. But now that everybody in the CHL is eligible, it really doesn't make a lot of sense to be calling kids in grade 10, in our opinion, and many around the country. It doesn't make a lot of sense to watch U15, U16 hockey. There's so many players now. The quality of hockey within the ecosystem is such a high level that, I guess our opinion is that college coaches should be watching junior hockey. We should get out of the business of being in youth rinks and take the pressure off of the kids, the agents, the families, of having to, know who's going to call on Jan 1, who's going to offer on August 1. And so just to kind of push everything back. And I think this year was a real eye opener. I mean, we had 08s that hadn't, 07s and 08s that hadn't made their decisions in January, and we're calling 2010s. Like, we haven't even finished with the upcoming class, that was coming in this fall. And we're already talking about a class that's going to be 2-3 years down the road. It just, so then you're having to watch 4 to 5 different age groups, and just to simplify it, I think would be a great thing. So our proposal is that you move it back about a year. You have the first contact date be the second Wednesday in January. Kind of a weird day, but it gets you off of Jan 1, so we're not talking to agents during Christmas, trying to set up these calls for January 1st on a holiday. It's kind of a weird day. Gets you into a midweek. So if you're playing games, that weekend, you've kind of got through your prep, your review of the previous weekend, a lot of your prep for the following weekend. You can actually come into the office on a Wednesday and make phone calls versus a Monday where you've got a lot of different things going on from the previous weekend. 8 months of a window to talk to kids is probably too long. So we'd love to see it get to May 1st.
This is grade 11 or grade 10, by the way, just to clarify.
This is their grade 11 year.
Grade
so
11,
everything
okay.
would get moved back. So their second Wednesday in January of their grade 11 year, and then be able to offer them on May 1 of their grade 11 year. All schools are still in session. You're not bringing kids in on visits in August when nobody's around, campuses are dead. So you get your transfer portal work done in April. You get your next wave recruiting kind of getting going in May. Gets us out of August, allows us to focus on our actual team in August, or take a week or two, as coaches, because there's no time in the current calendar to really take your foot off the gas at all. So we think it's better for the players, the families, certainly the colleges. A lot of these kids that commit on August 1, there's Brad Schlossman's done many studies on how many actually make it to the school they committed to. The numbers just don't bear out, doing it when we do it. So anyways, that's something that is swirling, and I think would be a really positive change now that we have the age-based eligibility in place. I think we can move forward with adjusting and modernizing the recruiting calendar that's been in place since 2019.
DC, who would be against that? Like, that makes so much sense to me as I'm hearing you talk about it. Like, I'm thinking, like, who would be against it? I can't see why the lower pro, higher pro.
Yeah, that's something that has not. I think we can get unanimous support, on that. It's not something like the NCAA tournament that does have, this friction point of some schools wanting to keep it the same way and what have you. I think everybody would get on board with it. I mean, our league's very much behind it. We've talked to other schools, around the country, and now that the real apprehension was it had gained some momentum in the spring, but then all this age-based eligibility stuff came in, and we're like, gosh, do we need to maybe pause on delaying our recruiting because we're going to actually bring kids in earlier? The delayed enrollment piece is going to go away. But now that the age-based eligibility is, looking like it's set, I think we can have this conversation of moving this back. But I think agents will love it, families and players will love it, and certainly the colleges as well.
Well, I wanted to talk about that too, that 5-year plan. Just because, again, like I've seen online, mostly in basketball and football, what I see on Twitter and stuff is, a lot of people saying college sports are ruined, right? Like you're hearing that a lot now, I think, throughout the entire landscape of college athletics, not just hockey. But this 5-year clock, actually seems like a bigger threat to what makes college hockey unique than like anything NIL related. And I'm wondering if you feel the same, just because, again, I look at just the way college hockey has been historically, and I guess your teams over the last few years, coach, have been a little bit younger. So maybe it doesn't really affect you as much as it would have, let's say 7 years ago, when I feel like Denver was more of an older team. Like I think that first national championship, what was it, 2017? I think that team was a bit older. But it feels like,
Ooh, you
that
better
is a
be
bigger.
careful. He'll have the details and the
Yeah, yeah.
numbers on
Well,
in
Yeah,
class. I'm always very careful to go down these roads and make generalized
tell you.
statements with DC here.
Yeah, people
I
like
said
to
it
say
felt.
that
I
we're
said it
old.
felt. It felt.
Yeah.
I didn't make it a fact.
We definitely would be older than what we have been. We'll fact check you quick on it,
Yeah.
but no,
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, and listen, I think great about that's what's great about our sport is, I thought we saw everybody really come together, this spring and summer on the age-based eligibility, because the way it was written previously, I think you're right. It probably wouldn't have affected Denver, but again, I try to tell people that it's not about Denver. It
Yeah.
really is about it. We were 27th youngest, so you're right. We were right about in the middle age-wise that year, Johnny. So you got that, which is good because the last three championships we've been in the top
Yeah. You
10
guys have
for
been
sure,
young,
but
very young. Yeah.
two of them we've been second youngest. But yeah, I think we got it to a good spot on the age-based eligibility. The real concern was that the clock would start, at graduation or 19, whichever came earlier. And the big stipulation was it was your anticipated graduation date. And so, you could start school on time, and your clock was going to start when your graduation date was supposed to be in high school. Like, so God forbid you had something really catastrophic happen injury wise or personally, and you got to delay your high school enrollment. The NCAA wasn't going to recognize that. So now they've changed it to whatever comes later, between and when you ultimately enroll, and your clock starts at the age of 19. So 19-year-olds have 5 years, 20-year-olds have 4 years, 21-year-olds have 3 years. It kind of gets us down 1 year, which I think is a really healthy,
I
um,
agree.
compromise for everybody. So I think it landed in a really good place, and it was cool to see us actually all agree on something, because that's pretty rare within the hockey world for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like it
We're on the
definitely.
show too.
Yeah, that's true. It does feel like we're very disjointed as far as like the different conferences go. It's so unique when I try to explain to people how, yes, we're all under the NCAA, but the conference tournaments are all different and the standings are different in each conference. And there's all sorts of nuances that, make it interesting to change things in college hockey for the better. And I've heard that the convention in Florida at times can be an absolute shit show of different ideas. But one of the topics I wanted to ask you about, DC, because it's I guess I'm curious because in my point of view, one of the reasons that college hockey has become so like it's become so attractive to top end players, a lot of it has to do with the fact that like you're actually playing less games and you're working out, you're practicing more, you're recovering more, you're getting educated on all of those things. Yes, you're going to school, but you're learning. I mean, you work with a guy like Matt Shaw for a few years, you're going to be a hell of a lot smarter about what, Matt Shaw is a strength and conditioning coach. And I don't know if he has a higher title than that, but he's like a guru from the conversations that I've had with him. He's one of the smartest people I've met in the strength and conditioning field. These kids are going to come out of there much smarter about how to handle themselves as they move to pro hockey. But my question is like, how do we get college to the right amount of games? Because I feel like it's around the 34, 35 marker, I think. And I feel like the one argument that still pushes people away can be, well, they don't play enough games. So, like, what is the sweet spot for how many games college hockey should move to? Because it's close, but I just still don't think it's enough games.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that it's another way for us to again evolve a little bit as a sport and try and think about the whole experience of the student athlete. And I don't think anybody is, arguing for, let's play 15 more games and start loading up the weekday schedule. And I think everybody loves the format of college hockey, the Friday, Saturday nights, the odd Thursday or Sunday. If you're at a football school and you have to schedule around your football program. But for us, I think the Friday, Saturday is awesome. And I'd love for everyone to get to, like you said, it's 34 right now. If you play exempt games, they count, but they don't count your game count. So if you go to Alaska or if you play in the Icebreaker, the U.S. Hall of Fame game, you can play more games. So we generally try to, whether it be an Icebreaker or an Alaska trip, we'll try to get to 36 games as much as we can. This coming year, we're going to play 37 with an exhibition in there as being the 37th against the U18 team. And what that'll do is we won't have a bye week in the first half of the season. And as a coach and relating to players, like players want to play games. They don't like bye weeks.
Bye weeks suck.
They would prefer. I mean, they know that the coach is gonna, you have to bag skate them a little bit to keep their conditioning up, and
Yep.
different. It's just like nobody likes to practice that much. Coaches don't like it. Players don't like it. And so, can we fill these bye weeks a little bit more? To fill it with games, and then in the second half. Again, we usually have at least one bye week in the second half. This year, we're splitting our CC series. We'll do one week and one the next so that we don't have any bye weeks in the second half as well. And we tell our players that, and they all get excited. They'd rather be preparing to play games. And they're still getting their Monday, Wednesday lifts. They're still getting extra work on Tuesday if they need it. And it becomes a really, I think, healthy thing and keeps their mind sharp, as we go throughout the season. So you asked a question, where would you like the games to land on? I would love there to be, 38 or 40. How do we get there? You can start the season a week earlier. We start the first weekend of October. There's no reason why we can't push that up a week. And then the back end, if we can push it a week later, now you free up 2 more weekends. Do you add 4 games or 6 games? Like I said, we're playing 37 this year. So you think about it, if we were at 34, that's 2 bye weekends we're taking off in the front half. So there's windows to add more games, even in our current model. But if some teams like bye weeks, give them the option to have it. To me, it's about the players trying to get their game count up just a little bit. I think, we played 43 last year. If we can get that number to 46 to 48, I think that's a wonderful number for the guys to be at. I don't want to play more than 50. To take away from all the great points that you made, Colby, about the development model of college hockey. But at the end of the day, too, it's revenue as well. Many of us are revenue generating programs. We're all looking to raise money ticket wise, philanthropically. If you add 4 to 6 games, that's going to be a net positive to most programs. And there's been some pushback from coaches and administration, but it's like, we've said, if you don't want to play the games, don't play the games. If you want to stay at 34 and you want to start your season in October, then do that. No one's putting a gun to your head and saying you have to play these games. And so there's still a lot to be worked out probably in that conceptually and for people to chew on. Really the biggest one is, can we push our season back a week? Because we need the NHL buildings to be available for the Frozen Four. It's tight as it is. We've been told there's some window to push, maybe 1 week later, but that to me is the biggest reason maybe not to do it. The NCAA also says hockey is the longest running sport. Supposed to be getting more control through the Hockey Oversight Committee. So I just think now's the time. There's been so much change. Why not look at all aspects of what we do? Maybe the numbers too. Maybe we just start the week or the season a week earlier and we had 2 more games. To me, that's still better than what we do. And I think we're all on the same page. We want to try and make it better.
I actually think, and I feel pretty strong, I haven't really said this on our show, but as far as Friday, Saturday goes and the popularity and the revenue and eyeballs, I think Thursday, Friday would be even better. And just for me, because Saturdays in the U.S., it's all around college football. I mean, for most cities, wherever you are, everyone is getting up to tailgate. They're, going out based on whatever college football team they root for. And at night, I think I don't know if hockey gets the momentum it would get maybe on a Thursday night where there's one NFL game. Yeah, there's a couple more NHL games than there are on a Friday, but you at least have nothing really in the way to interfere. And I've said on the show for a long time, Cole, you'll back me up on this part, but like for me, the growth of hockey in the US starts with college. Like everyone that has attended a university, it's the closest thing to like a cult following or like a Premier League of some sort where, you know, if my best friend went to Denver or Penn State and isn't a hockey fan and they hear that they have the 4th overall pick coming, you're going to be a little bit more invested because that's where you went to school and that is like a part of your blood. There's nothing else in the States that is like a college sport. So I think, you know, if you want to make hockey more popular, it's making these people more familiar with the college athletes like you do see in basketball and you do see in football. So then, you know, when the Jets draft a defensive end or whatever from Ole Miss, everyone knows who that is. You know, like Daxton Rudolph, like everyone's gonna be paying attention to him this year, especially the Sabres fans. You know, I think that's a big thing. But I'm curious what your thoughts would be on the Thursday, Friday, and then just, you know, the popularity in general.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The NHL's biggest growth in the market share is through the US market. And I think college hockey is a big part of that. And so if we can make it more accessible, easier to see, easier to get to, a better atmosphere, it's where a lot of the, you know, the nuance in the conversation comes around the NCAA tournament as well, and get more teams added because it can support the player pool can support more teams. It you know, I think those are all critical factors as it relates to, you know, Thursday, Friday. I've heard some schools out east talk a lot about that, and we live in a little different world here at Denver because we have to fly for all of our
Yeah.
games. But there's no reason. I agree with you. Like if there's a few schools out east that went to ESPN and said, "Hey, would you be interested in a Thursday night hockey? Let's try this TV window for a year." Or us and CC wanted to get together on, you know, because we're doing these 2 single games and we're doing them both on Saturday because of the gate and trying to have an off day so it's more accessible for fans. And now it's in the second half, it's not in the first half. But certainly us and CC could get together and say, hey, let's try a Thursday night game, let's try a Tuesday night game off of a bye week, or play Thursday, Friday, the, you know, the week that we were going to play Friday, Saturday. I'm all for kind of low risk, high reward, new ideas, you know, and schools trying that. I think it makes a lot of sense. The Big Ten, you know, we get a lot of visibility into it because they have to schedule around their football and basketball programs, given the state stature of those sports at their schools. And you see a lot of Thursday and Sunday games. We're doing one at ASU this year where we're going to play Sunday at noon. I'll be very curious to see how that is for the players, how that is for the fans. Again, it's a low risk, high reward type thing that, yeah, I think we should be thinking outside the box as teams, programs, administrators, and media all day long.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Like we won't know. Like everybody thinks they know until we try these types of things.
Right.
And I know like last year we had the Michigan State BU game. They put some resources into it. They kind of tried to promote it a little bit. I know we've seen what some of the pushing you've done has been heard, and it's helped with some of the ESPN stuff and the window. We got back to ESPN1 last year. Our ratings were great. So that's awesome too. So I hope they continue to listen, and it's good to have people like you that aren't afraid to say it. I mean, you've looked our bosses in the face in those meetings, and you've told them, hey, like you should at least hear me out on this. So hopefully we'll continue to evolve. DC, I got one more for you, and then I'll let Jonny ask the last question. And I know you got a split here, so I'll be quick. But just looking ahead to the future a little bit, you know, I know I like to poke fun at people, and the Leafs fans, I still haven't let it go because of all the nasty things they said to me about it. But like, have you thought about maybe things you want to accomplish in the future? Like, do you have being a general manager on your mind? Do you ever look and say, like college hockey could use a commissioner that maybe isn't the overall commissioner of college hockey, like, or, you know, there are other things. Like I've gone on the record and said I think you could be the CEO at a finance firm. I don't know if you know anything about finance, DC, but I've just seen the way you operate, and I think you have that CEO type of mentality when you talk about your staff, how you're improving their positions and their titles, and you want people to know more what they do because they're kind of way more than just assistant coaches. Like we've had these conversations. So is there anything about your future that you've actually thought about that you would be comfortable just publicly letting us know, and things that maybe we can key on and look to in the future for you?
I appreciate the question. Not really. I not to dodge it or anything, but I love what I'm doing, and I think we have like I said, we have a great staff. We're trying to build some things out. We're actually, you'll see and learn more about it probably this week or next, but we have an announcement coming out with a new staff position that I believe is the first of its kind in college hockey, which will hopefully help, again, just enhance our events and our brand awareness and all those different types of things that our program can provide to our institution. But there's so much work, I think, still to be done here that keeps me excited and motivated, probably more than ever. I think people ask, do you get satisfied with having won again? And not at all. If anything, I think it just makes you more motivated and more hungry to continue to do it, try and get that experience for the kids coming in, because that's the best. Like you see all the work and time and effort they put into it, and for them to be able to enjoy that all together and to try and drive their experience is really, I think, what grounds myself and our staff. And whatever that leads to in the future, I think is up to be determined. As you know, I probably thought I had the next 15, 20 years of my life planned out when I was 18, and that took a hard left turn. And so I really don't think too much into the future. It's like, take care of what you have in front of you. And I think the future and everything else will take care of itself.
My last one, Coach, it's going to be a two-parter. The first one's kind of a half joke, but it's from a former player of yours. Is Aiden Thompson still your favorite player? That's the first part. And then the second part would be just kind of rewinding a bit. Colby went into the future. I'm going to go, a little bit in the past. I think that first team you took over as the head coach of had 2 draft picks on it, 2 NHL draft picks. I think you have 16 total this year on your team. Like, if you can go back and talk to yourself, back in 2018, coaching 2 picks to then, say you'll be coaching 16 at a time. Like, what would you credit that to if you remove the championships?
Yeah, Aiden Thompson, certainly one of the favorites. Yes,
He's a beauty.
Very fun to coach. He keeps it light and keeps you on your toes. I do love that. He's a player that keeps you on your toes, and he just made a very large philanthropic donation to the program to make the boys' experience in the locker room a little bit better. So shout out to him and Jack Devine, who partnered on that together. So you're talking to the right 2 guys. Yeah, looking back, I don't know. I understand your guys' viewpoint. You're very tied into the NHL, and you talk a lot about that. And so I did not know the draft pick stat, nor would that be something that I would just tell you that we at all evaluate ourselves on as a staff. And so, I think what we're about is trying to find really good people that are good players. That a lot has changed in the landscape. What hasn't changed is, I think, the tried and true methods of trying to find really good people. And there's a temptation to, go down this road or that road with all the different things that have been presented in the world with transfer portal, NIL, rev share, a little bit more some individualistic, type thinking. And I think what we're probably most proud of is we haven't chased that. We've just kind of stayed true to who we are and been very authentic and very honest in what the players' experience will be like at Denver. And I think that's resonated really well with families, obviously. And we've got another big recruit in today, later this afternoon, and hopefully it resonates with him as well. It certainly has in the last couple of years of this class, and in the landscape of the CHL opening has been a huge part of that as well. And we're getting the right kids, which is the most important thing to having a chance at winning. It's a really hard tournament to win, as you guys know, and you need some things to go your way, but the better people you have in your room, the better chance you have to have that happen. So that's our challenge, is not getting dragged into the mud of, other things going on and kind of doing it our way. and stay in the path that's made us successful.
It's all about the PROSCESS. Is that still written on the board?
Sounds like you spelt it right. I'm not really sure. It's still in the locker room. Yes, my DU education did not more of a numbers guy than a letters guy.
It's all that great high schooling in Alaska and all that great schooling you had. Well, listen, I think one thing we probably all know for sure is who will start game one for the Denver Pioneers next year. I won't announce it. I don't want to take the fire from the head coach, but I bet I know. DC, listen, man, have a great rest of your summer. We really appreciate your time today. We'll be on the lookout for that announcement, and we will certainly echo it out on social media. As always, man, we'll be watching you guys, and hopefully that ESPN takes a look at some of those scheduling dates and jumps on the bandwagon, because there'll be some. The out of conference schedule that you guys have, BU, Michigan State, like there's some really great opportunities to have some really good college hockey games on this year. So we'll push them. I know you guys are working on it too, and hopefully we'll see you early parts of the year. All right, man.
That sounds great. Thanks for having me on, guys. Enjoy the rest of your summer. What's left of it.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it. You too.
Safe travels. Johnny, the one thing I wanted to say, like I didn't want to interrupt him, but I think one of the things, like when it comes to the draft pick stuff with him, and I think you could go back and you could like almost check your notes on this. The 4th and 5th round pick freshman, for some reason on Denver by January
studs
are so much more impactful than you see in a lot of other places. I mean, it's obviously they
Ethan Wittenbach's one of them. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying there's none, Johnny.
Ethan
Wittenbach, I mean, there's nothing you could say about that kid that's not nothing but positive. So there's no doubt about that. But they had Zeev Buium for sure. They had Henrik Borgstrom back in the day, 1st round pick. But like Troy Terry was not a 1st round pick. You look at the guys last year, you look at all those freshmen. I remember the kid Caswell, Epperson.
I think Devine was a 7th rounder.
Vine was a late pick. They had that defenseman, Eric Jamieson, last year, who just quietly was a stud. Boston Buckberger, he was undrafted. Like, I think that's the magic of what they've done. And, I haven't exactly looked, like how have these guys all fared in pro hockey? Because a lot of times you lose track of them once they get to pro hockey. Yeah. But what
Eric Polkamp, 5th rounder, Hobie Baker finalist.
Polkamp he wasn't a 1st rounder.
5th rounder.
Oh yeah,
Hobie Baker finalist. Okay.
It's another great example. Like, my point just being is when you look at the staff and it's David, it's Tavis, it's Dallas Ferguson. Like, they have one of the most, if not the most accomplished staff in college hockey. I mean, you can certainly make the argument as a whole. And then Ryan Massa, who does the goaltending, who's right next to David on the bench, and they talk a lot on the bench. I witness it obviously when I'm between the benches, but the way that they truly develop players and what you see from those guys 1st half to 2nd half, it's truly remarkable at a time when, hey, like at BU, we have 3 kids coming off the national team that are going to do a year of juniors before they come. One kid didn't like it and he decommitted. Now he's going to Boston College. I think the kid's name was Luke Shire. He didn't like that he was, hey, you got to play a year of juniors. So now he's going to go to Boston College. Like, so to see Denver having the success that they have with it, I just think it's a testament to not just the on-ice coaches. I brought up Matt Shaw, and like, unfortunately, we couldn't sit here and talk to DC for 3 hours, but man, the sports science that is behind that program, those guys are all wearing wearable technology for every day. And they are monitoring the work, the workloads, the reps, the heart rate, and it all adds up throughout a season. Like, they are so in depth in their sports science. Matt Shaw, David Carle, the program. I'd actually love to have Matt Shaw in here one time. He's the strength and conditioning coach at Denver. I'd love to maybe check in with them and have him on, and maybe he could just come on for 30 minutes and talk about it. But to the point where I know that DC can look at his data and look at what they did on this day last year at any point of the season. because it's all, laid out. He can see how many reps they did that day, what the workload for their players were that day. It is so scientific, but in a way, Johnny, that actually translates on the ice. It's not just colorful graph charts and nonsense. It's real, tangible information, the kind of thing that Brant Berglund would absolutely love. Our buddy Brant, he would love it. But I do believe it's one of the reasons that Denver has really separated themselves, and they do that really, really well. Probably as good or better than everybody else. And Matt Shaw, again, deserves a lot of credit. He's a Mike Boyle disciple, and he's a head strength and conditioning coach at Denver. Like he gets a lot of credit for the way that he works in conjunction with the coaching staff to make this team be ready to play, in great shape, healthy, recovered, all of that type of stuff. So, we didn't have time. We only had 45 minutes. We didn't get a chance to talk about NIL, which I thought was a waste of time because his
it's
is not handing out 6-figure checks. They don't do it. Are they doing revenue sharing this year? Yes, they are. But
do they have a collective or no?
They have alumni behind them. They have opted in to the house.
Well, yeah, and they just said, well, I guess
there will be revenue sharing this year for the first time. But listen, when he's landing all these big recruits, these guys are going to Denver for probably 80 to 90% less than they could have gotten elsewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
Teams that have these huge, football money schools that have the opportunity to give guys 150, 200,000. Obviously McKenna was a little bit different, but the $150,000, $200,000 players. So, again, I appreciated that call. 45 minutes is not enough time to talk to David Carle. Like you need more time with him, but it was good to get to see under the layers a little bit with him. And like I said, he's not a guy, which is why I have such respect for him. He's not a problem guy. He's a solution guy. He gives you a solution to everything he sees problems with. And I think that's why I would hope his messages would resonate better than most because of that.
Yeah. Even his whole spiel about pushing, that first contact day to grade 11 or pushing it back for youth hockey. Cause I'm sure
I can switch hats now.
You can switch back.
I do have my
You're
hat,
a little uncomfortable. Okay.
I can switch back now. That hat fit me pretty well though. I'm pretty happy with it.
It's a nice hat.
I'm pretty happy.
But you probably get these messages all the time, Colby. I got one from a listener of our show, like asking me about, I think, his 8-year-old son and what he should be doing to get better at hockey and, what's the best path for him. And, I remember everything just starting so early and his point of, we shouldn't be watching youth hockey. Like that is a perfect point. I don't think college coaches should.
Line.
And I know so many kids who committed to college in 10th grade that never even went to that school or never touched the ice, all these different things. And you promise kids the world. And, that's one thing Carvey preaches too. Like when he meets with kids, he's really talking to their parents. Like if you're talking to a 14, 15-year-old kid, that kid has no life experience. Like they can't make a decision for themselves. At 17, 18, when you've played junior, when you have a little bit more feel, when you know people who are actually in college and have friends and peers that have lived it, probably a little bit easier to make that decision. So, I thought that was a great line by him, just saying that college coaches shouldn't be focusing on, kids who aren't even fully through puberty yet.
I'm laughing as you said that because like what's funny is like I remember like my mom was like David Quinn had my mom wrapped around his finger ready to go. My mom like David Quinn is like he especially like look, coaching in the NHL has definitely aged Quinny a little bit, but he's still a stud. And I always like he's like a Kennedy. It's like John F. Kennedy, it's like JFK walking your front door when Quinny walks in the door. Like he's just got this big presence, and obviously is a handsome guy, and so we always laugh. We were like, well, we know why my mom wanted me to go to BU because Quinny was the one doing the recruiting. She did happen to go to BU as well, so obviously there was a family tie in there. But It is true, and I think that was my favorite thing that DC said today. And I'm surprised you kept calling him coach. You didn't go to the nickname. That was interesting.
You know what? I was gonna call him DC, but like he's a really intimidating guy. Like he is. I've met him a few times in person now, but with him, like actually, funny story. I saw him in the hotel in Buffalo at the draft, and I said, "What's up?" Like, quick handshake, and he said, "By the way, totally fair question that you asked Torts when I was walking out," and I was like, I love you for saying that. Thank you so much. But again, like with him, it's different. I've never also, I haven't like worked with him. I haven't covered a Denver game, so I haven't had that bond with him. So I don't know if we're on the nickname basis yet.
I guess I could understand where you feel like a little that sort of intimidation from him, but he's a smart guy. He's well thought. He's serious, but he can also sit down and just shoot the shit. Like
I haven't done that with him yet. That's why
very polished guy, he's a very polished guy, but he's also, you can easily sit down and just shoot the shit with him and talk about other things. And look, a lot of times if I have something that I think is a good idea, like I'll go to him because I know what he'll do is he'll poke 10 holes in it.
Yeah. Well, I actually wanted to ask you a question about one of your questions, the more games question. I'm kind of wondering like what you think that sweet spot would be, because I would love to see college hockey have more games. I also do love the back-to-back nights. I think it's great. And you do have to let these kids also be kids. Like if someone proposed an idea of Saturday, Sunday games, I don't think any college player would want that. They need their Saturday night. They need to be kids. They need to enjoy themselves a little bit. That's why I think Thursday. Yeah. That's why Thursday, Friday is the better alternative in my opinion.
I don't have an issue with that, Johnny.
But do you see like a 55 game schedule someday in college hockey? Like I think that could be a sweet spot.
Yeah, I mean, listen, what I would say is like for him, his team always plays the most games because they go to the championship every year.
Yeah.
So they play an additional
42.
4 games, right? Yeah. They're always playing an additional 4 games because they're playing the whole, all 4 games in the NCAA tournament.
Well, conference too. It's like
plus
8 games.
They're always going deep into their conference tournaments. I would love to see the regular season be set at 40 games. I think that would be the number, 40. And then you have that opportunity to play the additional 4 conference tournament games, 4 NC tournament games, and 1 or 2 preseason games, which gets you to 50 games. And I agree with you. A bye week in pro sports is amazing. You get on a plane, you go to the Bahamas, or you get your son. Our buddies in Toronto, they go to St. Bart's. We've well documented that. Sorry, Vic, just strays left and right. I used to love the Toronto Maple Leafs until the fan base totally turned on me over David Carle. Now I'm out. But I love that idea because you're right. When you're in college, a bye week sucks. Because you're not going anywhere. You're still in class all week.
You're practicing on Saturday.
You have a practice. You probably went out, so you feel like shit at practice. No, I like 40 as the number with then whatever, the tournament, the playoffs, and the exhibition schedule. And I'm with you. Start a week earlier. The NHL's starting in September now, right? Yeah. Our show's starting in September now. It's September 21st. So college hockey can start. If we've agreed to start in late September. And the rules are so weird about when players come back. You can only have a certain amount of coaches on the ice. They can only have this.
They're there all summer now. Every big school is having their players there all summer.
Cool. When you get back, let's say Labor Day, once Labor Day happens, the next day you should be able to have full team practice with your coaches, no restrictions. Give me a break. Yeah. All right. Like if you can't balance being at the rink for a couple hours a day and making sure your schoolwork is done, that's your problem. There's enough support staff. There's enough people around, like just enough with the red tape just for the sake of it being red tape. And yeah, like let's get to 40 games. To me, I'd like to see 40 regular season games. Okay, it's 20 weekends, not even for everyone. Boston schools, they've got the bean pot. That's 2 Mondays. There's 2 extra games. And yeah, I just don't think the bye week is necessary. I think the only area where you'd run into like a little bit of issues is the teams that lose a lot of players to World Juniors, right? Like a Michigan, a BC, a BU, a
Yeah.
Michigan State, even Denver. Like they're losing 3-4 guys to the World Junior team. And then not like, I know like for a fact, like the years where BC had Leonard, Gauthier, Perot, Manetian, Fortescue, Fowler.
Fowler.
And
Yeah.
then I think they might have even had a Euro. They had Teddy Stiga was sniffing at the World Juniors at that time,
Gasso,
I
maybe.
believe. So I understand for them feeling like they need a little bit of extra time, especially in January. But even that, like I remember break in college, Johnny, like we couldn't even, we had to move out of the dorms because the dorms were closed, right? And so from there, we had to stay in a hotel because and then we were just there at school. No one else was there. We're practicing, we're working out. Why can't there be some games? Like, why does the break have to be so big? It just doesn't make sense to me. The school is investing so much money into you with your scholarship, with the ice time, with everything. Like, they don't need to be treated like regular students where you get to have that long break without anything. Acting like it's all the same is dumb. And so I think there's another thing. You could shorten that Christmas break. A month between games is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It doesn't make sense to me. So I would say this. I think what one thing college could use is a college hockey commissioner, one voice. And I understand we need to have commissioners for each conference, but I do believe there should be one voice that takes what they do to the NCAA, to the National Hockey League, to the NHLPA, and there's one person and one voice. And I think that's an important job that I think is something we should get to. Because I think as DC even alluded to, there's just a lot of cooks in the kitchen. It's hard to get everybody on the same page.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Honestly, I don't really have much else on the topic for today, at least. We are recording Monday, August 10th. So if there is any news that comes out on Monday night or Tuesday, we won't be covering that. This episode will probably come out, I assume, Wednesday. We're probably sticking to the Wednesday each week. But are there any other topics you want to get to today, Colby? Because I don't think there has been any newsy updates since we last spoke. Nothing too crazy, at least.
No, there's definitely been a couple of guys who have signed. I mean, did you see the guy who got the deal in Pittsburgh who's played like 40 games?
Oh, Koivunen? Ville Koivunen?
Yeah, like I thought that was interesting. Here's the other thing I'm now curious about, Johnny. Are bridge deals in the NHL done? Are they done? Because it doesn't seem like these guys are interested in bridge deals. Although, I mean, like, who's the last guy to sign a bridge deal? Benson didn't sign a bridge deal. Is a 5-year deal a bridge deal now? I guess it's not. A bridge deal is like a 2-year deal to get you to your big deal.
Yeah, there's been a couple 1 years. I mean, Braden Schneider signed 1 year. Jason Robertson signed 1 year.
But the Jason Robertson thing,
but those are different. Yeah, like those are different scenarios.
Come out of your entry level contract and you sign a 1 or 2-year bridge deal. If you think you're a
Mantha, did Mantha sign 2? I think Mantha signed for 2 years. I think Mantha signed 2 years.
Are you talking about Anthony Mantha?
I guess that's not. Yeah, it's not a bridge deal. I'm just thinking 2-year deals.
Stay with me here.
I'm thinking 2-year deals. Sorry.
Level deal.
Yep. I'm just thinking 2 years. Sorry.
My point is the entry level deal, bridge deal
into UFA. Yes, I know.
Is dead. You just don't see that anymore. And here's where I wonder if it trickles to. If you're a college player now, are you a little less worried about money as an agent? Are you like, you know what? Go to Denver, take 20 grand from Denver instead of 150 from someone else. Because if you do this right, in a couple of years, you're going to get through a 2-year entry level deal, and then you might have the opportunity to get your big deal. It seems closer now that the bridge deal has kind of died. And I wonder if there's any filter effect or domino effect down to the way players decide and they look at financial opportunities in college hockey. Because everything that happens up here, Johnny, there's always a trickle down. For good or for bad, there's always a trickle down on these types of scenarios. So I just wonder what's going to happen and what the days of the bridge deal being dead, what does that really mean?
Well, there's definitely financial gains now you can get in college. I mean, I don't want to speak on his behalf. He didn't even say this, but I'd have to think if NIL wasn't a thing, Wittenbach probably would have signed with Calgary and have went to the gone pro. I mean,
Really?
he's gonna. I would think. I mean, I would think you're a little more comfortable and a little more inclined to stay in college. If you can dominate and be paid, especially if you're getting paid as much as you would probably in the AHL, right? Like, some guys. Not saying he is, but some guys could get close to, if not more than that. I'm sure there's a college player today making more than they would playing in the AHL.
Oh, listen, that's
Yeah.
not just. I mean, that there's players in college football that are going to get drafted in the 4th or 5th round that could be making way more money in college football. I mean, a
Yeah.
rookie quarterback in the NFL. I think that's
That's like the line in basketball. Shaq made all his money in college.
That's
I don't know if you've seen that movie in a while.
Yeah, I forgot, but that's certainly that movie's certainly a classic.
I love
all
that
right,
movie.
here's my last thing I want to bring up.
Yeah.
And then we'll do our bet. Dylan Larkin, Detroit Red Wings. First off, they do not seem like they're in a rush.
No.
It's August 10th. So you're not that far from rookie camp at all. Like rookie camps are right around the corner here, especially with everything starting a little bit earlier. What do you think is going on? And I mean, a trade obviously can't happen of Dylan Larkin when there's no general manager, but I saw something the other day that like maybe they're going to seek reconciliation. I've been on the record saying like they needed to do this at the draft. And everybody said Steve Yzerman doesn't act
I agreed.
that way. He's gonna say no, it's my way or the highway. Well, his way or the highway led him to be removed from his job. And there's been conflicting reporting as if he's involved in the next hire. And the most recent that I've seen is that he's not involved in the next hire. But do you think Dylan Larkin will be at training camp in a month, Johnny? Like, what does your gut say about that situation? If there is even a gut feeling to have.
So, yeah, I'm just looking at this last report. August 8th, Helene St. James apparently said the Red Wings are looking for a first-line center in exchange for Larkin, but none of the teams on Larkin's trade list are willing to meet that demand. As they like, I wouldn't. Who's a first-line center right now
That's
that you want to trade for Dylan Larkin?
No, it's not. It's most likely you like your first-line center.
Yeah, I can't think of like I wouldn't trade. Would you trade like I don't know like Logan Cooley for Dylan Larkin if you're Utah? I wouldn't do that.
No.
I'm trying to think of like a younger guy that like Utah Larkin can make them a much better team now. But like I think Logan Cooley is a guy you'd hang on to.
Yeah, like I'd have to look exactly at Utah's.
I'm just thinking of younger centers like in the NHL, like on teams that are
trade a young number one center. No one. It doesn't happen. The only
That's
way
what I'm
to
saying.
get one is to try to offer sheet them, and even that doesn't work. What did I spell the word calendar wrong here, Johnny?
Yeah, it's AR, not ER. Yeah.
Okay, for that I appreciate it.
I wasn't saying it on the show. I was actually trying to. Yeah.
Usually my computer will Cal and saying it ends in AR. How did my computer not pick up on that? I spelled recruiting wrong too, by the way.
You did? I didn't see that one.
I was trying to tweet that quote out while we were talking, so a couple of spelling errors. But,
it's okay. Vic is saying Pavel Zacha, but like
is the only number one center in the league, and like why would you ever take Zacha for Dylan Larkin? Like you wouldn't. It would have to be Zacha and a lot more, and then Detroit would have to say, okay, now we have a second line center. And
Zacha has 1 year left on his deal, by the way, which I don't know.
Problem, Johnny, on these really good teams, he fits in as a second line center. I think that's the problem. Yeah. I don't think he's not Leo Carlson. He's not your building your whole team around type of guy. He's really good, but go ahead.
I thought there'd be no way that he would be in Detroit's training camp. I've really stood firm on the fact that he would be moved. I'm
with
yeah,
you.
like I still don't think he will be there. I don't know how, if you are the Red Wings and it was made clear that he wants out, that you operate with him there. I just don't see how or why they would do that.
The only, like, before I would have said it's 100% to 0%. Now I'll go to like 80-20. And the only reason for the 20 is because they fired Steve Yzerman. That's the only reason. Like, I don't think any of us, I know I asked the question and then I got murdered by a fan base for it, but that would be the only thing that would give me any type of pause into thinking, well, maybe there is a chance at reconciliation because there's a new general manager. Because maybe they go out and hire his agent to be the general manager. Like I you know what I mean? Like I don't think that's going to happen because is he Pat Brisson? Is he Pat Brisson, Dylan Larkin?
I believe so. I'll double check.
Maybe you could check that for me, Vic, as we're talking, just so we can make sure that we're accurate on the
Pat Brisson.
So okay, Pat Brisson's not taking the GM job. He's been offered GM job before. There'd be no reason for that guy to take a GM job. He makes way too much money. But I don't know. Maybe there's someone else. Maybe it's like the Connor McDavid thing where you go out and hire his agent or someone in his orbit, and then that helps reshape things. I don't know. So that's where I was 100%. They could never have him back in that room again. With a new general manager, I mean, he didn't go to the coach. I mean, and say, I want to trade. He go to the general manager. So it's been pretty quiet though. That's been the other interesting thing because who right now is making calls about trading for him? Like who's doing that in Detroit? It's unclear. Is it multiple people? Is it the owner? Is it is it I know Yzerman had his right-hand man that he played with him. His kid plays at Michigan, or he played at Michigan.
Draper, Chris Draper.
Is it Draper? Yeah. Is he making those calls? So it's. I think it's something we're going to be talking about here, leading up. Like when we start our show live on September 21, is Dylan Larkin going to be a Detroit Red Wing? Yes or no?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Yeah, I'm going to stick to my guns here and say no.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to say no too.
But how do you think he played this? Because he was the first one to really start this, right? Then Brady Tkachuk, then Hellebuck started coming out a little bit. Those other rumors that we heard throughout the summer. Larkin was the first one, I feel like, to drop the domino. But again, he only gave 4 teams. Like, so realistically, how do you think he handled this?
Well, he didn't leak it. So this was I think everybody had hoped this would be a private matter and it would stay private. By the way, I'm going to buy a new chair today, and I'm going to buy something that is big and that can lean backwards. Like I'm going to buy a really good, comfortable chair. And maybe I'll listen to you more because I won't be as eager to sit up to the mic. My chair squeaks. That's why I said that.
Okay.
Can you hear?
I was like, why the fuck? No, I can't hear a thing. I was like, why the fuck is he talking about his chair?
My chair, a loud squeak. I don't have a problem with how Dylan Larkin played this, and it might be in a place where Dylan Larkin has to adjust. Hey, listen, we saw your teams. There's no deal to be done. Okay, rather than the hardball approach of go fuck yourself. Basically, I think it needs to become all right. Look, we've had no luck. Okay, Pat, get on the phone, work this out, find us a trade partner. Here's what we're looking for. Make some calls, right? I think that's where they need to go with this now if they haven't yet, because I think they got to get a resolution on this. The longer this thing drags out, the worse it is. It's fine right now because we're not that close to training camp. But man, the minute the players start coming back into town to skate together and they have the captain's practices and then the Twitter stuff starts, that's when it's going to start blowing up into a big issue.
Every question he's asked, every question he's asked is going to be about a trade.
But everyone else will be asked of it, right?
Yeah. And he'll probably make a comment. I'm not answering any questions about a trade. And then
who's answering? Like, Kane's gone, Larkin's not there. Who's standing up and doing that? Raymond, young guy, right? Kopp has been
DeBrincat.
around. That's not who DeBrincat is. It's really not. I mean, listen, he's a great goal scorer, but it's not his team. Okay. Like before Kane could get up and answer the hard questions about that. I guess it would be Sider, Falk. Okay, they have Falk. He'll have to do a
Falk
lot
just got there though. Like
Right.
Falk got there at the trade deadline last year. Like
Agreed. So this team also looks like a non-playoff team.
I agree.
Their roster.
I agree.
Like they're a bottom team in their division. So we'll see. But I'm with you. I think when we start September 21, he's no longer a Red Wing. There's just I just don't see how you can do it. And your original question, do I have a problem with how he handled it? No, I don't. Do I think he probably needs to adjust and add more tems to his destination list?
Yeah, you can't give three. He gave 3 teams when he first requested the trade.
Clearly, that's 3 teams is what we've heard. Then we heard 4 teams.
Then 4.
Remember, we've only. He's never come out and said that.
Yeah, we don't know the full truth.
Never come out and said that, and Steve Yzerman never came out and said that. So I'm not doubting Frank and Elliot and any of these other people. Like, these guys obviously are well sourced, but I just like, I don't know. Yes, Johnny, I'm okay with your premise of the question. Like, does he need to like become a little bit more flexible if he really wants out? Yeah, it sounds like he does. It sounds like he does. So, all right. What do you got for Bet365? Well, I think you got to read about the Nation gear, right?
Yes, but I'll do Bet365 first, then your Nation gear, because we are talking about the Red Wings right now. And the worst thing about hockey season is that at some point every year it ends. There's a lot of time between now and the first puck drop of next season, which feels like an eternity for those of us used to nightly games. The good news is that Bet365 still has plenty of games, just none that require lacing up your skates. But at Bet365 Casino, you can choose between hundreds of slots, live tables, and your favorite games. Well, maybe your second favorite game, but you must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. And today we're going to look at the team to finish with the worst spot in the standings, last place in the NHL this year. And the Red Wings are plus 2,000. So if you think the Detroit Red Wings are going to stink, which I think they will, I think Colby thinks they will. If you look at their roster, it's hard to say that they won't, especially if you remove Larkin from the equation. You got to assume at the deadline or around the deadline, maybe DeBrincat gets traded with 1 year left in his deal. This is not looking like a very good hockey team. So we'll take the Red Wings to finish last, and I think that might benefit their franchise and do another rebuild. Who knows? But that's going to be our Bet365 bet of the day. And I also do want to give a quick word to the Nation Network's first limited edition collection, a new era of Nation gear. We've partnered with Levelwear to elevate the apparel you know and love, bringing you premium quality pieces, new styles, and versatile collections designed for your life beyond game day. Introducing the Off-Season Social Club, a collection built for the sports between sports, from polos and premium tees to hoodies and hats, elevated everyday essentials. Every piece is designed with the quality, comfort, and performance to take you from the golf course to the patio, weekend trips, and everywhere in between, because being a sports fan isn't just a season, it's a lifestyle. So visit nationgear.ca, follow Nation Gear on social, and subscribe to our newsletter to be the first to shop new collections, exclusive drops, and everything is still to come. Colby, I don't know if you have any final thoughts. We don't have a guest lined up yet for next week. That's something that we'll work on, I guess, throughout this week. But again, we have, a little over a month till we're live again. So we'll have maybe 4 or 5 more guests for the summer. And yeah, I don't know. You got anything going on personally? Everything fun? Any big things coming up? I'll see you maybe on Sunday. You're making the trip out here, right? That's the plan.
We're coming in, we've got a wedding Saturday night in Manhattan. And then, Sunday morning, we're going to wake up and the whole crew, we're heading out to Sag Harbor for our sort of annual week out in Sag Harbor with Shaddy's.
You're spending the whole week?
The
whole week out there?
We're going like Sunday to Thursday. We don't want to. Nice. I want to get back before. I don't want to sit in traffic all day Friday. Not easy with my kids. Willie.
So you're doing next week's show from there?
Colin Wilson, they just had a baby, so I don't think the Wilsons are joining us. Normally it's like, we all kind of get together and get all the families together and whatever. So I don't think they're joining this year. But yeah, I guess next week, unless we unless we get it together and record for next week's show this week, which I don't think is the plan. But yeah, next week's show, I'll have to sit in his office one day and do it. So maybe we'll get a cameo and we'll get him to pop by. But I meant it about Matt Shaw, like the strength and conditioning coach at Denver. I think, he'd be an interesting guy to talk to. So maybe I'll check in with those guys and see if that's something. Some of those guys don't like doing this kind of stuff, so you want to ask. But we'll figure out someone interesting. We will. We'll definitely we'll come up with something interesting. I don't know how many. So we've got, how many more of these weeks do we have? So we'll have
about 5, I believe.
2 more weeks of August, and then 3 weeks in September. So 5 more guests, and then we'll get going live again on the 21st. So, man, summer's Sloan. This is Sloan's last week of camp. She's been in camp for 8 weeks. So, so it's been, as you can see, I've been out in the sun a lot.
You're very tan. Very tan.
It's been a very, very nice. I actually came home last night just to do the show from here, because doing the show down at the shores, it's just I'm not set up properly. So I like being in my own space. So I think that's it, Jonny, unless there's anything you want to share and you got going the next couple of weeks other than catching up with me. But that's
this week actually I'm doing I've been working for 27 Hockey. My good friend Sam Sternshine has started his own hockey training company, and this week he's doing a pro camp. So I think there's 26 guys like Matt Coronado, Shane Pinto, Marshall Warren. I think Mark Atcombe might be out there. A couple pro guys, college guys that are around Long Island. I'll be on the ice with them, and I think I might actually sit down and interview some of them for a 2-minute little thing about what they do in the off season. And then next week I got the Matt Martin camp on Long Island, which would be really fun. Matthew Schaefer, I think, is gonna hop on the ice one day. I don't know if you saw. Do you see the video of Matthew Schaefer at Camp Timberlake? I don't know. That's a really cool thing for I grew up going to summer camp. I think I've said it on here before. I went with Adam Fox. He came for 3 summers.
All of our kind. We're part of our kind. We go to summer camp. My brothers all went to sleepaway camp. I never did that.
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But Schaefer going up there and breaking their marathon, whatever, was pretty funny and cool to see him do that. He's
maybe
he's
get
the
Matt
best.
Martin to come on our show finally. Maybe you can work.
I know. I've been talking to him about it. He's been dodging it a little bit, but I could try to do that.
Us every time we get it, we want to get him on. So
he's the best though. He really is. I won't hold it against him.
Except for when we need him to come on.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that.
As we said, Monday, August 10th, we're recording this. We're just finishing up. It's 1:20 p.m. in the afternoon on Monday, August 10th. Vic's going to put the episode out on Tuesday, so everybody will enjoy it tomorrow at the normal time, 9 a.m. As Jonny likes to remind me, they'll hear it when they hear it. But if anything happens in the next, 12 hours, you'll know why we didn't talk about it. So if Dylan Larkin gets traded between now and when the show airs, we'll just have to go back and cut half the show out. So we hope everybody enjoys today's episode. I'll tell you guys, we miss you. We really do. These episodes are definitely not as enjoyable when I don't have the chat to read through and go back and forth with. So we look forward to 5 more weeks of this, and then back on the grind in September. So we hope everybody enjoys this show. We hope you enjoy the conversation with David Carle, and we will see you the following week.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Morning Cuppa Hockey here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, we've got more great hockey content every day. You can catch DFO live at noon and stick around for the Sheet with Jeff Marek at 1 p.m. right here on Daily Faceoff. Until then, keep your coffee hot and your takes hotter.